Good morning, children. Today I'll continue with the chapter of circulatory system and will take the composition of blood. Now, blood is composed of two major parts: the liquid part of the blood, which is called plasma, and the formed, that is cellular elements with definite shape, that is the red blood cells, white blood cells, and blood platelets. All these three types of cells are seen floating in the fluid part of the blood, plasma. So, blood is composed of plasma and the cellular elements, that is the fixed shape structured cells. Now, plasma, I have told you, is the liquid portion of blood, slightly yellow in color, and it forms about 50 to 60% of total blood volume. Then it is sticky and slightly heavier than water. 90 to 92% of plasma is made up of water. 7 to 8% proteins are present. The proteins, different types of proteins like albumins, globulins, fibrinogen, and prothrombin. These are the different types of proteins which are present in blood plasma. Then hardly 1% of inorganic salts and other substance in traces. The inorganic salts include sodium chloride and sodium bicarbonate, and other traces are glucose, amino acids, fatty acids, urea, uric acid, ammonium salts, hormones, and respiratory gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide. So all these things form the blood plasma, which is about in total 50 to 60% of the total blood. Now see this table. The blood is composed of two main parts. The fluid part, blood plasma, which is about the in total quantity of blood, it is 50 to 60%. This blood plasma contains water, blood proteins of different types, albumin, globulin, fibrinogen, prothrombin, some antibodies. Then salts, sodium chloride and sodium bicarbonate are the main salts. Then other substance which varies and are present in traces like glucose, amino acid, fatty acids, respiratory gases, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and excretory products like urea, uric acid, and ammonium salts. All these constituents form blood plasma. Then the formed elements, blood cells and cell-like structures. They are 42 to 45% in total, and all these blood cells, they are of three types. They are seen floating in the fluid part of the blood called blood plasma. Three types of blood cells are erythrocytes, commonly called red blood cells, leukocytes, commonly called white blood cells, and blood platelets, that is thrombocytes. Then white blood cells, they are of two types, granulocytes. That is the cytoplasm is in the group of granulocytes. Those white blood cells will come where the cytoplasm do not contain granular structures. It is translucent fluid-like structure only. Granulocytes, those white blood cells whose cytoplasm is in the form of granules. In agranulocytes, two main types of white blood cells come, monocytes and lymphocytes. And in granulocytes, three types of white blood cells are come in this group, acidophils, basophils, and neutrophils. Now this in detail types of white blood cells we will do when we will do white blood cells separately, its structure, its functions and its types. Now we will come to functions of blood. Functions of blood we can study under two headings, transportation and protection. In first heading of transportation, we'll study the following functions. Blood helps in transporting the digested food. The food is digested in the alimentary canal, that is the small intestine of the alimentary canal, where the complex form of food is changed into the simplest form, all carbohydrates into glucose, all proteins into amino acids, all fats into fatty acid and glycerol. These are the simplest forms. From there, once they change into the simplest form, they have to be taken and to be provided, should reach to the body cells. So it is the blood which is going to carry all these from the small intestines and will transport to all the body cells. So you'll find glucose, amino acids, vitamins, mineral salts, etc. are supplied from alimentary canal to all body cells by the way of blood. Then transport of oxygen. About 3% of oxygen supplied to body cells is transported in dissolved form in the plasma of blood. When we inhale air rich in oxygen, some part of the oxygen from the lungs will enter into the oxygen in the lungs will enter into the blood through blood capillaries. Then some part of the oxygen will enter into the blood plasma, and the remaining part, major part of the oxygen is being carried or is being taken by the red blood cells, and the red blood cells contain a respiratory pigment, hemoglobin. That oxygen immediately will combine with hemoglobin to form an unstable compound, oxyhemoglobin. Thus the blood will travel and will reach to the different parts of the bodies, to different cells, where the oxygen will be released from the blood plasma to the body cells through blood capillaries, and the oxyhemoglobin, being an unstable compound, will break up into oxygen and hemoglobin. Hemoglobin will remain there only, and oxygen will be given out and will reach to the blood cells. So it is the blood which helps in transporting oxygen from the lungs to reach to each and every body cell. About 3% of oxygen supplied to body cell is transported in dissolved form in the plasma of blood. Rest is transported by means of red blood cells in combination with hemoglobin in the form of an unstable compound, oxyhemoglobin, which on reaching the tissues break up to deliver oxygen. Then transport of carbon dioxide. This occurs partly in combination with hemoglobin. From the body cells, the carbon dioxide through the blood capillaries will enter into the blood. Major part of carbon dioxide will enter or will travel, will enter into the blood plasma and will travel along with the blood plasma as bicarbonate salts. And some part of the carbon dioxide will be taken by the red blood cells. Hemoglobin will combine with it. The carbon dioxide will combine with hemoglobin of red blood cells and will form again an unstable compound, carbaminohemoglobin. So when on reaching back to the lungs, carbon dioxide, the carbaminohemoglobin will break up into carbon dioxide and hemoglobin. Carbon dioxide will be released out from the blood capillaries. And then This is how from the body cells the carbon dioxide is being transported back to the lungs to be given out of the body. Then comes transport of metabolic waste, various nitrogenous wastes like urea, uric acid, ammonia. They are transported to kidneys by the blood only for their elimination. They should be removed out of the body, and kidney are the main excretory organs. And urea and uric acid are the poisonous nitrogenous waste which has to be eliminated out. Once they are formed in our body cells, when the body cells undergo metabolic functions, as I have explained you in class 9th, that amino proteins when get digested change into amino acid, then whatever amino acid is required by the body is being released into the blood. The extra amino acid cannot be stored in the body, so it is broken down by the liver cells into glucose and urea. Glucose is being a useful product, is stored by the liver cells as glycogen, and the urea through the blood will travel and will be made available to the kidneys to be eliminated out in the form of urine. Then transportation of hormones. Hormones are the chemical regulators. They are the chemical substances which are secreted by special endocrine glands, the ductless glands, and they are directly poured into the blood. The blood carries these hormones to the target organs, to the required organs where these hormones are going to make that organ function, carry its function. Then transportation of heat. Blood also helps in distributing equal amount of heat to all the body parts, thus maintains the temperature of the body constant. Then homeostasis, that is the maintenance of internal environment, should be constant. The internal environment percentage of the different compounds present in our body and blood should be constant. It should not increase, it should not decrease. So this blood helps to maintain the internal environment constant by maintaining different salts and organic substances in the constant amount. This was all about the function of blood under the heading transportation. Now the second heading is protection. In one or the other way, blood also plays a very important role in protecting our body from pathogens, disease-causing microorganisms like bacteria and all. Now how? Blood, whenever we get any cut or injury, chances of the bacteria, entry of the bacteria, its chances get increased. So immediately the blood will form a clot at the injured part, trapping all the microorganisms, harmful microorganisms, and will not allow them to reach inside the body cells or inside the blood. This is one way how it protects. Secondly, our blood contains white blood cells. The white blood cells, they are the soldiers of the body. Their main function is to protect our body against the pathogens. As soon as the these pathogens like bacteria get an entry into the body, the white blood cells of the blood will immediately engulf them, swallow them, will take them inside their cells and will kill them and destroy them, and thus protect our body against infection and will not allow them to spread in the body. Thirdly, the white blood cells in the blood may also produce antitoxins or antibodies immediately whenever any foreign body enters into our blood or body. These antigens and antibodies will act against them and will neutralize their effect and will protect our body from infection. So this is all about the functions of blood under two headings, transportation and protection. Tomorrow we will do the cellular blood cells one by one in detail. Thank you.